So today I'm going to explain how to set up LiveSplit, how to set up OBS, how to record speedrunning, and how to set up the hotkeys and everything for speedrunning, especially what I use to my settings, what I use for speedrunning Subnautica. So the program we use for splitting and making the splits and everything is called LiveSplit. I'll put the link in the description. It is basically a timer with where you can add certain splits. When you start LiveSplit for the first time, it may look like this. I don't know exactly, but it's nothing fancy. It has no options to click anywhere to get to the options. So first you will have to right click, and then I would click Edit Layout first. When you are in the layout, you want to think what you want to do. First of all, you want to have a timer. So there are two options. To add components, there is this plus icon. You can click on it, and then there are a whole bunch of components. You can get a detailed timer, a normal timer, splits, sub-splits, a lot of information, and so on and so forth. So normally for a run you would want either a timer or a detailed timer. The difference is a normal timer just shows the time you are running right now, and the detailed timer is right here, shows the total time it took. The timer is already running, plus the time the split you are in right now is taking. So normally I would take a normal timer, put it right on the top, remove this detailed timer, and then you would want to have splits. Maybe add a title on top. This would be on the information and title. Now you would add a title. Now you can double click on the title to change the layout and everything, but for the title it's not that important. First of all, what you want to put in the title, you can change everything in right click and edit splits. First of all, what do you want the game name to be? So normally you would, the game name in our case would be Subnautica. The run category, again you have some options, any percent, all achievement, 100%, no damage, all blueprints, all bunch of categories. Normally you would want to run any percent. If you would want to run any other category, that's up to you. And if you run, most of the time if you run any percent, you want to run on the September 2018 patch. So normally we put that in brackets. Then if you would run creative, you would start the time at 0. That would be fine, but normally in any percent you could either start the time at 0, or normally we'll start the time at -1 second, because skipping the cutscene takes roughly a second. Then you have the number of attempts. I'm going to reset it because I was just testing something. The number of attempts always ticks up by 1 after each attempt. Then you want to think about how many splits you want to have. Splits are these ones. No, I want to have 7 splits in my case. So I click on Edit Layout, click on Splits, double click on Splits, and there is the option to change the total amount of splits. So now at the moment it is set to 4, so only 4 splits are displayed. I want to set mine to 7. So now I have slots for 7 splits. Now to add all the splits, if you have to click on right click and edit splits. Now if you only have 4 splits and 7 split slots, it will always occupy the first 3 and the last one. Now I want to add my splits. My first split is called Nonsense Fiesta, and you could add an icon, but I don't have an icon, so I just leave that blank. The split time, the segment time, and the best time are automatically put in here after you completed runs or split for the first time. Now my second split is called Glide to Mountain. My third split is called Mountain Setup. My next split is called Get Cured. Now I want to have more splits than just 4, so you can just click Insert Above, Insert Below, and you can of course move splits up and down, so that doesn't matter. Now my next split is Lithium and Gun Setup. Now I want to add another split, insert below, the sparse stuff, and finally the blast off section. Now I have all my splits. You of course don't have to name it like that. You can name it whatever you want. You don't have to take 7 splits. You can just, if you would want, you can just use 1 split. It wouldn't matter. The time in total is the important thing. But if you want to, in my opinion, if we want to get better, you can just look at your split times of each split and then just look in which split did you have problems, in which split can you improve more and more. Then you want to hit OK. Now that we have set up LiveSplit to our liking, we will have one more thing to do, and this is set up our hotkeys. For that, you again right-click on the surface and hit Settings. The hotkeys you can customize them whatever you want. For me, I like to have start and stop split. This is to start the timer, to go to the next split, and so on and so forth. On numpad 0, reset. If you mess up a run, you want to reset the run. I hit decimal. If you want to undo and skip a split, this is sometimes really important. If you accidentally split, for example, I have it on subtract and skip split on return. Pause is not really. I have it multiply, but pause in speedrunning you cannot really hit pause. If you do, the mods will still time it, and the time will in reality keep running. So pausing is pretty useless. Switch comparison, next and previous. With that you can switch between your average, all your personal bests from all splits that you can have to your liking. I don't really use it at all, so there's that. And then you want to hit OK. Now how LiveSplit works, if I want to start the timer, I hit my split key, which is numpad 0, and the timer starts. You notice that the number of attempts counted up by 1, so this is my first attempt. Now if I want to split to the next split, I just hit 0 again, my split key, and now I have my current time for this split is 15 seconds. Now I'm in my next section, and then I hit split again, and wait again, I hit split again, and when you come to the last split and you split, the timer stops. Now if you want to replay the game, the things, you hit reset, which is my decimal key. If you hit decimal, the LiveSplit asks you if you want to save them. Of course I want to save them, and these are now my best times. Now if I split and for example I get 15 seconds here, if I split and I get better than 15 seconds and split, I get a golden time, and this is better by 10.8 seconds. Now I will probably get all better, I will get all of them gold. Of course you see the timer ticking down if it is about 20 seconds or so. And now it is green, and the color means normally the gold means that it is your all-time best split time, the time for your split. So I just beat my previous split by 10.3 seconds, and it is the best time of this split I've ever done. If it is green, then it is better than the last split, which is of a finished run. So gold means best split ever. And if you want to exit LiveSplit, you just hit exit, and it closes LiveSplit. If you want to save the splits, yes or no, yeah. Now if you want to run multiple categories, for example you want to run any percent and you want to run creative, now what to do? First of all, you always want to save it, so hit save as, and I'm just going to name it Subnautica any percent September 18 patch. Now this saved the splits itself, not the layout. The layout I can change and everything. For example, if I want to now play creative. If I want to play creative any percent, now I saved everything. That means these splits and these times. You have to notice that these are my segment times, how long each segment took. These are my best times for each segment, and this is the time it took. So at 46 I was at blast off the first time. I didn't save those, so these are those from the first time. Now I want to play creative any percent. I want to delete all of them. You want to hit edit layout, splits, and for example I just want full splits. Hit OK. You cannot change these splits without resetting the timer. So my timer is currently at 34 seconds. If I want to reset it, hit the reset key. I'm asked if I want to save them. This only asks if you beat some of your times, if not all of them. You want to reset them, hit edit splits, and then you can remove segments. For example, if I only want 4 segments, you can put anything you want on there. Again, for this, for example, creative, you want to get to the get cured, deactivate the gun and blast off, for example. Now I only have 4 splits, and then I want to change the layout accordingly. So splits, 4 splits, and that's that. And now I want to, if I wanted to play any percent again, I don't have to again change all of that, but instead I can just, and of course I want to reset my attempts to 0 if I haven't played any. Now I can go save splits as, rename them to Subnautica, creative any percent, and my layout, save layout as, and I didn't save my any percent layout, which doesn't matter. And then let's say I want to switch back to any percent. I just hit open splits, Subnautica, and then they're all your previous. So I want to hit any percent, and then I have my any percent splits again, and open layout and any percent layout. And of course this is the wrong layout because I don't have a layout right now, because I forgot to save it, so I have to enter it manually here, and I want to add a title, put it at the top, and here we go. And I want to save the layout as any percent layout. And this is wrong. This is the wrong timer. Edit layout. I don't want a detailed timer. I want a timer, a normal timer. Put it here. Save layout. And now I can switch between the creative any percent layout, the any percent layout, and the creative percent layout. No, creative any percent layout, and the corresponding splits. And that's how you change the runs. And if you want to exit LiveSplit, you hit right click and exit. Now for the next part, if you want to record a game, or if you want to record Subnautica in combination with LiveSplit, you don't have to have LiveSplit on top of your screen, on top of Subnautica all the time. It is easier if you have 2 screens or more. With 1 screen I don't think it is possible, but if you download OBS, the link is in the description, you start OBS and you have profiles and scenes. For profiles, I have normally 2 profiles. One is for recording and one is for streaming. Profiles are just, you can just change the settings. So I have my settings for recording and I have different settings for streaming. If you want to record anything, you want to first create a scene. Normally there is a scene, but you can just hit new scene and just add another scene. You can add as many scenes as you want. You can change between scenes just by clicking on them. If you hit the minus button, you will remove it. And then if you want to record something, for example, in our case, we want to record Subnautica and LiveSplit together. If you want to record something, anything, you want to add sources. The primary we are going to use are window capture and game capture. Game capture is normally for any full screen applications, such as Subnautica in our case. So we want to add a game capture, and you want to name it to something you're going to recognize. This, in our case, it isn't really important, but if you have multiple sources, multiple screen recordings, multiple window recordings, multiple game recording, it can get really confusing. So we want to name it. I'll just name it Subnautica and hit OK. And now it'll ask me what I want to do. So if you hit capture any full screen application, it will just capture the application you have opened right now. I want to capture a specific window and choose Subnautica at window. So now it recognizes Subnautica and it is on as a source. Now I want to add LiveSplit, so I hit the add again. You can also right click and hit add, and I want to add a window capture, call it LiveSplit. And in this instance it got LiveSplit first try. So you would just select LiveSplit on the windows, and normally capture mode automatic works fine. That is good as well. And then you can move it anywhere you want. You can rescale it. You can press Alt and crop it. But in our case, in LiveSplit, that doesn't really matter. That normally only matters for webcams or something like that. But if you keep pressing Alt, you can crop it from any side you want. I just want to make it a bit. I just want to scale it a bit. That's fine. And there I have my scene. You can create a new profile. I'll just name it recording. Now this is my recording profile right now. I have this scene with these sources, and I want to hit settings now. General is not really that important for everything. Stream, here you can do all the setting for streaming. First you want to hit output. On output you can have it on output mode simple or advanced. It doesn't really matter. Advanced is, I like advanced more, but I use simple for a long time. You can just browse where you want to store your files. You can choose your recording format. Normally you have MP4 or MOV. The advantage of MKV is, for example, if the recording is not finalized, for example, if you record something and your PC crashes, or if you get a blackout and the PC shuts down unexpectedly, normally your recording would be corrupted, but in the case of MKV, you can record as MKV, and then you can just go to File, Remux Recordings, select the recording, and then hit Remux, and then your file will get converted into an MP4 file. The advantage of this, of course, is if your PC shuts down for any reason while you're still recording, you can recover the file. But that is totally up to you which format you use. Recording quality, I would select same as stream. The audio quality, you want to select your audio device. So desktop audio is, I'd leave it at default. Now if you have a microphone and you want to record your microphone as well, you hit microphone auxiliary audio and just select the microphone you want. This is my microphone, and you can add multiple audio sources. Next, video. The canvas is the size of your screen. So mine is 1920 by 1080, and the output you can scale it down. But I want to keep my 1980 by 1080 and 1920 by 1080, so I'm going to hit that output as well. You can hit you can change your frames per second. I like to do 60. And then the most important thing is hotkeys. Hotkeys you can choose to your own liking. I like to hit right Alt and F11 and right Alt and F12 for start and stop recording. You can of course choose the same key for both starting and stopping recording. I personally like one key for record start and one key for record stop. The advantage of that is if you don't know if you're recording and want to make sure you're not recording, you can just hit the stop recording button and you won't accidentally start the recording or something. You can of course set keys for start streaming. You can set keys for switch to scene, but that is not necessary for the basics. So there's that, and you can, if you want to start streaming, you can just click start recording. You can just hit start recording, or you can press the hotkeys. There was one question that was asked in Discord a couple of days ago, and that is, how do you get LiveSplit transparent? You can do that in OBS. That is just a OBS thing. I don't think you can change the transparency of LiveSplit itself, but you can hit on LiveSplit, right click and hit filters. You just want to hit the plus icon, hit color correction, and you can name it, you don't have to, and just change the opacity to your liking. You can look here at how opaque it is. I wouldn't go under 50%, otherwise you cannot read it. I would actually stay above 75, but you can choose it to your own liking. But that is how you change the opacity of LiveSplit in OBS.